What's going on, everybody? And welcome to Deconstructed Topic Podcast. How's everybody doing? My name is David, and I'm your host of Deconstructed Topic Podcast. And we're doing a little podcast on the go, meaning that I'm outside of the confines of my home. And this is the beautiful thing about having this Podbean platform is that I could be able to record a podcast on my phone and just relax and just, whatever the case might be. And today I really don't want to. Oh, I'll take it back. I don't have something specific to discuss today. I just want to deconstruct current couple of things that's happening in the news, different topics out there, and I hope that people are enjoying this podcast because without you, I mean, the listener, my family, or we get motivated to do this podcast. It's not gonna be crazy. It's not gonna be long, but it seems that a lot of people have enjoyed my podcast and I appreciate it. And a lot of people have asked me for certain feedback on what I think about what's going on in Palestine, what's going on in Rafah, what's going on in local politics, what's going on with the situation with some Puffy Combs or P. Diddy, what's going on with the border crisis. People have said you should do a podcast on this, podcast on that, podcast on this. I'm like, oh my goodness. I would love to do everything in my power to do a beautiful podcast for you on a daily basis. But in life, I got a couple of minor setbacks as they're doing a little construction at my apartment. So I'm dealing with a little minor setbacks, and then I was having a little bit of internet issues with my service provider. So that's another different story. Maybe I'll make a podcast on that, being that I've been on the internet since the early 90s. I'm an internet baby. Let's go. Ooh. And just a heads up disclaimer, because there are things that I want to touch bases on, is that my opinion is not affiliated by any organization that I belong to, work for, was part of, whatever the case might be, whatever platform I am. Any of my ideas and my observations are mine and mine alone. I do this podcast to inform and educate you because there's a lot of things, unfortunately, either you missed, they're not telling you, or you're being lied to out there in the news. As much as I love living in America, United States, this country is the king and queen and the prince and everything of propaganda. And unfortunately, we got two political parties that have made billions and trillions of dollars based on lies. It don't matter what side you pick on, whether you're Republican, Democrat. It's all of the same show. And one of the reasons I started to do this podcast is not only to inform you and educate you on what's going on, but I also want to motivate you to start thinking on your own. And one of the things that I'm proud of is that I don't have a political affiliation because I think on my own. I'm not a pawn. I'm not a political pawn. I do not let these people in the mainstream news, political parties, celebrities, to control my mind, to manipulate me on what side of this aisle I should be sitting on. The only aisle that I sit on is on my own. And trust me, there's a lot of people like myself out there in the world, in this country, who does things on their own. So it's one of those situations where I said to myself, back in, it's around about 2016, early, when it was the United States presidential elections back in November, I took it upon myself to try to educate people. Hey, listen, these two people, whether it's Trump, whether it's Hillary Clinton, they two of alike. These people have been in weddings together. They have done so much together that it bugs me out how we think that these two people hate each other. For some reason, that, the news and the mainstream news, the CNNs, the Fox, the MSNBC, they gravitated to these individuals because, again, in this country, these two elite people, they make money out of misery. So in 2016, I'm telling people there's something more sinister that could happen. And people went out there and said, no, if Trump becomes president, that's the end of democracy, whatever it is. And you still hear it now. And all I'm telling people, there's something more sinister that's going to happen. And lo and behold, this past weekend, My understanding is that United States who claim to, for some reason, say, hey, Israel, stop doing what you're doing. They give them a little pat in the hand. Israel still managed to go out there in certain part of Palestine, Gaza, which is called Rafah, and basically do some harm to many people, men, women, and children who have nothing to do with the terrorist group that they claim that they're going after, which is Hamas. And I said to people, I could understand people's opinion, especially with the former president. I could understand your opinion. But, when you gravitate that you think that January 6th is the worst thing that happened because there was a coup or some called insurrection, you're telling me that that's the worst that you could tell me compared to the lives that are being lost in Palestine, Gaza, and, Rafah and all that. If you're telling me that's the worst, then I'm sorry. I would have to disagree very politely. But that's the trick that they play into people. And I'm just saying to people, I'm not here to pick sides, and I'm not here. People thought that I'm over here defending or that I voted for the previous president, Donald J. Trump, which I did not, and I do not attempt to do so because he is part of this whole scheme of trying to distract you so that you don't talk about what is the issue that's happening in Palestine. And it's sad to hear some people who are opening up and opening their eyes and say, wait a minute. All right, this is no longer a country in Israel, whatever it is, going after a group of terrorists. This is it's going crazy. It's people's life, innocent life. People that probably in Palestine, I don't even probably never heard of Hamas. Just exterminated, deleted. Those people out there, they don't know what is democracy in terms of waking up and at least breathing. Sometimes people say, well, they're going to, Trump is going to steal your democracy. Are you breathing? Are you able to wake up and eat a nice breakfast, even if Trump is the president? Absolutely. Are those people in Palestine, are they able to do that? No. And that's the trick that they play into people. And that's the sinister thing that's happening. And I hope that it doesn't get more sinister than that. But I tell people, this is the trick that this country plays. And that's my take on that. I'm going to do a podcast more in depth on that situation. But it comes to a point that, geez, come on. I mean, we need to wake up. And that's why I did this podcast. People out there that are on some anti-Trump, pro-Trump, whatever the case might be, they're all the same. They're all the same to me. And this is the trick that you fall into. And all I'm asking you, or ask yourself, are you a pawn? Are you going to continue to be a pawn, a political pawn in this place, as Malcolm X called it? The other thing, too, that there's people that, have asked me, what do you think about the migrant crisis and what's going on with these migrants and then open border, whatever border, war we need. I said to myself, and I tell people, I got some inside information, right? And I'll do a podcast on this issue in itself. The border crisis is not a crisis. The border crisis is something that is manufactured by both parties, by corporations. There's no policies that Biden did, nor Trump did, nor Obama did, or whatever that have changed anything. The only thing that have changed is the amount of migrants that are coming, because it seems to get more and more and more. It doesn't matter what president it is. Because my understanding, some people say that all this started with under Reagan. I was not in this country when that happened, under Reagan. But one of the things I noticed, it's funny because both political parties make money out of this situation. And both are going to be in the press, or they both going to make it seem that they are the opposite things of both situation, and the answer is no. If I look at 10 years from now, not 10 years from now, 10 years ago, for those Republicans that are in the anti-union pool there and say, how is one way that we can, let's say in the South, whether it's Alabama, Mississippi, Kansas, those states that most likely vote Republican, how can we use something to make sure that certain factories do not become unionized? Then you bring the migrants in. And that's how you warp to organize certain places factories or places that could become unionized. When I say factories, it could be car factory, whatever factory, something to that effect. And that's how you bring the migrants out of nowhere. You go on TV and say, no, we against the migrants and we need more border protection, et cetera, et cetera. Come on now. What these two political parties do is that they tend to kind of flip every 10 years on what they think about the border. I remember it was in the mid-90s when Bill Clinton, the Democratic president, said that we need more protection from illegal aliens, aka migrants. So once again, I'm going to do an in-depth, or at least talk about it, because there's some sinister things that happen on both sides of the aisle and on both sides of the countries, United States, Mexico, and other countries where these migrants are coming in. Because again, there are people out there that are making money out of this situation. And I'm one to say I do want to help people. But my issue, how can I say? It's not my issue, but the way I observe things is this. Both political parties use the migration crisis to divide this country on what you think. There's nothing that has changed. And again, I'm going to repeat this again. There's nothing that has changed. It's all optics. They want you to think that Trump was doing something with the border. That they want you to think that Biden is not doing anything with the border. It's all a scheme. And people need to relax. And what people need to do is to start voting less for those two parties. Because at the end of the day, I will guarantee you, when both parties start seeing less votes, you're going to start to realize that it's no longer going to be a migrant crisis or a border crisis. That's going to be going, oh, no, you know what? I guess we fixed the issue. We never, trust me on this one. So relax on that situation. I want people to relax because, again, it's getting out of hand. And I understand that people there, but I see a lot of migrants. I'm in New York City. I see a lot of migrants, and that is true. But again, we're going to touch bases on why that happened. And trust me, the people that are pro-migrant, trust me, those are the people that are least migrant because they're using them to divide your community. And the people that are anti-migrant are most likely pro-migrant because they're going to use them sometimes, especially in the South. They're going to use them to kind of dwarf, places to be unionized. That's how that works. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm telling you, I like deconstructing topics. Deconstructing topics, we talking about it all. A couple of weeks ago, there was the situation with Sean Combs P. Diddy, the rapper. As you already know, there's a video that surfaced that leaked out where, unfortunately, he assaulted his former wife, Cassie. Another podcast in the making, right? But I just want to touch bases on this. And I'm going to tell this to my fellow people that are listening to this, especially many Americans, but there's other people in other countries. Based on, I see that information. I see Europe. I see a couple of people in South America giving me that shout out. Okay. But I want people to understand that we need to, as human beings, stop analyzing celebrities. Because trust me, celebrities will disappoint us and they will disappoint you. I could understand you want to show support to your favorite singer, actor. You're going to go to the movies. You're going to show support because that's whatever. That's who entertains you. That's who you find, how can I say, motivation, inspiration, and all that. But I've done heard stories where we put so much emphasis on celebrities. And this is one of the things about this country. And this country has done a great job. And when I say great job, I'm being sarcastic. I'm pushing celebrities in front of you so you can forget about the real issues that's happening. And people tend to fall. And I get it that there's people that you gravitate to. I get it. Hey, listen, I'm a big wrestling fan. Oof. Just God knows how long. Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, my favorite wrestler. We got Hulk Hogan. What you gonna do with, Hulk Hogan? You know what? Hulk Hogan, get out of here. But I don't gravitate to these individuals that they were like, I'm not going to analyze these people. I'm not going to call them my heroes. There are things that I've come across, celebrities, famous people, public figures, whatever the case might be, that I say, wow, that's inspiration. That's okay. But trust me, In this country, they turn people into consumers. And with the situation with P. Diddy and all that, trust me, there's a lot of people that probably adore P. Diddy. It's a lot of people that idolize P. Diddy. And then the video comes out, and then you hear stories about P. Diddy and all these nonsense. Yeah, you hear these stories forever and ever. And there's this video of this dude assaulting a woman. Wow. Because you got anger issues. Wow. Okay. Things do happen. Things do tend to happen. But a lot of these people, they get away with murder. And it seems that Diddy was trying to get away, but Cassie decided, you know what? In terms of the court system, she went after Diddy and got millions of dollars. And rightfully so. Hey, rightfully so. That could scar you mentally and lead to depression. And when you're depressed, a lot of people tend to make some bad choices because their mind is clouded. And that's what happens. There's a thing that with these celebrities and in life, when it comes to politicians, and this applies to politicians too, right? There's these two things in life that happens. We got money and we got power. And then respect would be the other thing. But money and power is two things. There's people that have power but just don't have the money. And there's people that have the money but just don't have the power. And there's a few people that have both. In this case with Diddy, P. Diddy, he has both. He could get away with things because he has both. Now you might say, well, in terms of power, oh, look, listen, let me tell you something. How do you know that one has power? Listen, we could go on about his history, whatever the hell he is. But when you have a political side who's buying for your services to try to trick the people to vote for one specific group, that means that political party, which is the government, right? Unless you want to say that P. Diddy's a government plant, which, hey, you know, it's possible. That's just to tell you how much influence and power you have, right? And if it's not for that video, we would, well, my understanding, we find out because of the lawsuit that Cassie, the former singer, whatever the case might be, did. But the fact is that there's a lot of these celebrities that get away with things that we can't because they have money and they have power, or they have one of them. But guess how they get it? Because of us, the consumer, yes. So if you want to pat yourself on the back, you want to waste thousands and thousands of dollars because you believe in this musician and this person is so inspiration, it's your money. You do whatever you want to do. But again, don't feel disappointed because they will disappoint you. During that same week, here in the United States, the beautiful United States of America, in Congress, there was these two congresswomen, ladies. One is the name of Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez, a.k.a. AOC, very well known here in the United States politically. And then you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who represents Georgia. So AOC is from the Bronx, congresswoman. She represents my district. That's another podcast in itself. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene. So it looks like they went after each other and they made the news, and people kind of a lot of people gave their opinions on what they think. And I said to myself, here we go. Oh my. And what I mean by that is this. Once again, it's the United States government and the media propaganda machine who is propping up these two ladies to run for president at one point. And I will guarantee that they're either going to run or something. They're going to shove them right in our throat, in our face, in our TV. And I said to myself, when you see that, turn off the TV. Turn off the TV. Because those two individuals, and I'm not going to be like one of those people that they're going to call them clowns, stupid, idiots, whatever the case might be. No. Because they both two government plants that work for the government. And hey, whatever tickles your means to make money, if you feel that you need to sell your soul to the devil, by all means. I'll have a little bit of coffee here. Woo! Mocha. A little bit too chocolate. I don't put sugar. It's too sweet. So, woo. So you got the Marjorie Taylor Greene and Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, Puerto Rican. I'm a little biased, Not a fan of both ladies because, again, they just parrots. They already know, like, these two women were created to look like you, because Marjorie Taylor Greene has a certain look, kind of lean towards somebody who's a little muscular, and lean towards those people over there in Georgia, and my beautiful people in Georgia. I love Georgia. But what I'm saying is this: these are cookie cutter politicians, celebrities, whatever you want to call it, being shoved right in your face, and you're gonna fall trick to think, oh, because I heard both sides of the aisle. And I said to myself, wow, come on, America, you got to be smarter than that. If you're going to watch that, and if you think that's real, watch professional wrestling. I had a couple of brothers in arms who said, oh, I don't watch professional wrestling because it's fake. But then you talking to me about this situation, what happened with the AOC and Marjorie, and they were spatting each other, and it was just silly to me. It was like, wow, really? I didn't want to watch the movie the video, because it was all over. What's the hell's now? I said to that young brother, what's the difference? You like professional wrestling? No, because it's fake. So then why you watch this? If you think that's real, and then you picking a side, in this case, because of how MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, spoke and said those things, might as well watch professional wrestling with me next time. Let's go. Because to me, I would say one thing about being a professional wrestling fan, it has given me an inside look on how politics, because to me, politics are scripted. And I've always said that, and I put that on my socials platforms, and somebody said, well, how can I say, politics have consequences, right? They have real consequences. They can be scripted. They can be fake. And I agree. But my part is this: those consequences are already scripted. When United States of America decides to fund more money into other countries for war, whether it's Ukraine or Israel, whatever the case might be, someone pays the price. And that price is already scripted, because it's not the elite people. It ain't Joe Biden. It ain't Donald Trump. It ain't Hillary Clinton. It ain't Barack Obama. It ain't the elite of the elite, because those people are living good. It's the people, the working force, right? The so-called middle class, and the poor people, because unfortunately what happens is this, and we have a history in this country, whenever the United States puts money into war, even if they're not part of, they still in a proxy, is that everything goes up. The price of gas goes up. That means if the price goes up, gas, that means everything will go up, and that's the price that you pay. It's funny, interesting, right? And I'm telling talking to my sister-in-arms, and, I guess, in America, when the lotto hits a certain amount, it seems that a lot of places, a lot of people, they do these, what they call lotto pools. They put money, $2, $4, get tickets, whatever the case might be. The lotto goes 300 million, 400 million, 500 million. And you know what's interesting about that? And I told people this. In the last 3 years, ever since United States has been funding Ukraine, there have been 4, I think it's top of my mind, and now maybe we could go to 5, where the lotto, what they call the mega millions, have gone up all the way to $1 billion. So whoever wins it, whoever the group, 1 person, 2 people, the pool would be almost $1 billion or more than $1 billion. And I said to myself, wow, let that sink in. In the history of lotto, it's very rare when lotto goes to 1 billion. Very rare. It might happen once every 4 or 5 years, maybe. The coincidence that it has happened 4 times and it might go to another 5 in the last 3 years. Uncle Sam, who happens to be the United States government, needs money. And one way to kind of get that money is to do the lotto. It doesn't cost United States money, but it's going to cost you money. And whoever wins, let's just say, if I win $1 billion, taxes are being 50%. That's $500 million. Do you know what $500 million could do? When this government sits with $500 million, do you know what they're going to do with that money? People are going to say, oh, well, doesn't that go to school? Doesn't that go to... I don't know. I'm in New York City. New York City ever since I've lived here and I moved in and I came to this country 30 years ago, yeah, New York City has gotten better a little bit in a way. But just about every place. But that's part of life. That's part of the In a sense, the evolutions of human and technology and everything else. It has nothing to do with political policies and political whatever and nothing to that effect. So again, I said to myself, do you know what the government could do with $500 million? Yeah. They could scratch a couple of politicians from other countries to start a war or to start a crisis so that they can make that little $500 million investment to, let's say, President Carlos Ramírez Vázquez de la Cuelda, whatever the case, from some obscure country. And I don't know where they decide to go and invade another country. Oh, that $500 million investment the United States makes, there's certain companies, whether it's in the military or other companies in the United States, they will make billions. And that's how that works. Well, folks, a couple of topics we hitting you everywhere because Deconstructing Topic Podcast is that podcast where I'm going to make you stay informed, educated, open your minds, think independently. Please hit the like button, share, let's spread the love. Don't let that neighbor, don't let your brother, don't let your sister, don't let your mother, your father, your everybody, your cousin, your coworkers, your landlord, don't let them become a political pawn, because when they become political pawns, someone pays the price. And it ain't them, but it's us. And trust me, in this country, it's them versus us. And when I say by them, it's the elite people that sit in the same table. And when, at the end, and I'm going to top it off with this, I've always, in the last couple of years, I heard the word white privilege. And people try to describe what white privilege is, and that in this country, there's people that are privileged due to being white. And hey, that definitely could be true. Hey, I'm with that. But to me, what does white privilege means? It means that once again, on the 2024 U.S. elections, the top two president candidates will be white men, old, with money, power, and we don't have that, and we'll put them in power. To me, that's more white privilege, and that, for me, is the definition of white privilege. So, let that sink in, folks. We're making it happen. I'm out of here. Deconstructing Topic Podcast. Let's go. Let's make it happen. I'm out. Peace.